Dear professional, yes, you, the one replying noted with thanks for the 27th time today. It's time to close the laptop and pick up a cocktail. Join.
My name is Patricia Abnakisi. I'm the CEO of SEDAT Consult Limited, the organizers of the SEDAT HR Conference. I'm so happy that we are having this conference, especially in Kumasi. And as SEDAT Consult as a company, we are committed to knowledge sharing, creating opportunity for networking, and ensuring that people in the HR profession advance in their careers. That is why we put together this conference to give the opportunity to our HR practitioners to first of all learn about the new trends in the HR space, learn about how we can be innovative and creative in ensuring that we are impacting the organization. A lot of the times, HRs are seen as cost centers, but we want to change the narrative. And if we can do that, we need to be very creative. We need to also ensure that we are leveraging on technology to be able to impact or determine or demonstrate how we are contributing to the bottom line. In this dynamic landscape of human resources, we have gathered here together to explore the most pressing trends, challenges, and the opportunities. We know that HR has evolved, and we also know that technology has enabled us to evolve. And so if we don't embrace technology, it's going to be very difficult for us.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to today's episode of SEDAT HR Digest. As usual, your number one webinar that brings you all the solutions that you need at your workplace. This is a platform where we learn, unlearn, and relearn. At SEDAT HR Digest, we bring you experts that gives you the solution or guide you on how to resolve your workplace issues. This is a platform for HR practitioners, business leaders, and even employees as well. And this episode is proudly brought to us by the SEDAT Consult, your number one HR consult firm or consultancy firm. We are here to give you the shoulder to put your head on. Don't stress yourself about anything that has got to do with people in your organization. Just call us and we will be there to give you that shoulder to put your head on. If you want to reach out to us, you can call us on 0244 629245, 0244 629245, or 059 140 5555, 059 140 5555, and our team would be ever ready to respond to you and help you out. All right, so my name is Patience and I will be moderating the session for today's episode. It's been a very long time and I've missed all of you. I know you miss me too. And so as usual, today let's have our usual participative conversation here. If you have any question, you want to contribute to the discussion we are having today, you want to seek clarification, please feel free, drop it in the comment section and we will read it out for our guests to respond to you. Wherever you are watching us from, drop your name and your location and we will give you a shout out. We've missed you and we want to know that you are with us, and so please drop your name and your location and kindly share the link with all your friends, your colleagues and your loved ones. Let them join in this conversation. It's going to be a super one. We are bringing you one of our favorite guests on the show and you can't afford to miss it for anything. I know there's a football match going on somewhere. Please, let's learn. When we are done, we will go and then continue the match. And hey, in Kumasi, we are coming your way again with the SEDAT HR Conference. The first edition was super. Second edition was, great. And come on, this year we are coming again. The whole team from Accra and those in Kumasi, all over, we are all joining the Kumasi Conference happening at the Golden Bean Hotel in Kumasi. And it's going to happen it's a one-day conference happening on the Thursday, 30th October 2025, and it's going to start from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. What are we looking at this year? Our theme for this year is HR for sustainable growth. HR for sustainable growth, aligning strategy with business strategy, business success, aligning strategy with business success. And we are honored to have our keynote speaker in the person of Mr. Nuhu Salifu, who is the Vice President, West Africa at Sandvik. And then we are also honored to have with us Mr. Shedrack Ba, who is a Director, Human Resources at Anglo Gold Ashanti Ghana Limited. We also have with us one of my favorites, Mr. Senor Ejaben. You can't afford to miss this conference. It's a whole package for you. Mr. Senor Ejaben will be there. He is a lecturer, a consultant, a country director at WRHO Construction. Senior will be there. There's also, if you want one of the labor consultants that are solid, please get in touch with Senior and you will thank me later. And we have a sweet lady, Emilia, also on the bill. Madam Emilia Osei is also joining us. She is a certified HR consultant, a lecturer, and head of HR and admin at KCMI. And all these great people will be joining us this year at the Golden Beam Hotel at Kumasi. And guess who our host is? Our very own Madam Patricia Abena Kisi. Please let me add the Abena before I get a message that is not my name. So please, Madam Patricia Abena Kisi is the host of SEDAT HR Conference, both Kumasi and Takrade conferences. She is our host, and she will be hosting all these great people at the conference on the 30th of October 2025. And you can't afford but to be there. And how much are we paying for this conference? It's a cool 620 cedis for in-person. And if for any reason you want to join us virtually, you are paying 520. In-person is 620. Virtual is 520. Let's gather and let's learn together. It's a platform for networking. And for all those that have been watching us on SEDAT HR Digest, it's a good time to meet, a good time to connect together. If you're an HR practitioner or a business leader, this is a place for you to be on the 30th of October 2025. It is a SEDAT HR Conference, Kumasi Edition, and this is our third edition. You can't afford to miss it. Again, we all realize that HR operations are changing so fast. Paperwork and all those things that take our time is being moved away by the support of technology. And so if you are looking forward to transforming your HR operations with HRIS or any HR management system, then we have a good news for you. The good news is that SEDAT Consult is organizing a one-day online workshop that is tailored for HR professionals, IT managers, and business leaders who aim to leverage technology for efficient HR operations. When is this happening? It is happening on the 9th of September 2025. The time is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's going to happen virtual. So we'll be gathering on Zoom for this one-day training. Participants are required to have a stable internet to be able to participate in this conference. Now, what will be your takeaway from this conference? We are looking at your ability to automate all your repetitive HR tasks using HRIS or HRM's tools, and then also generate real-time reports for strategic decisions. You also have the privilege of learning how to select and implement the right HRIS tools for your organization. Do you just go for anything that is dumped at you in the name of HRIS, in the name of we have a system that can support you, or you really would want to go in for something that will meet your need, something that you really use, something that will really support you? A lot of people jump on getting HR system just because others are using it or it's being introduced to them. But do you really need it? Or you want to push money in there and you have a lot of redundant modules in the system? This is the conference or the webinar you want to join. And our facilitator is our one and only Paul Opoku in Chroma. My own brother will be there to facilitate this session for us, and the rate is 1,500 inclusive of all taxes. That also includes the certificate, and we would also share the slides with you. And so join us as we master the use of HR systems for effective and efficient compensation management, benefit tracking, and performance optimization. This is what we offer you at SEDAT Consult, and you don't want to take yourself out of this. All right, let me go to the comment section. I have wonderful people dropping in their names and their location in the comments box. Okay, and so I have Josephine Akwe is joining us. All right, so Josephine is joining us from Takrade. Hey, Tadi for Nameya Aduma Yoruba back. We are coming back to Takrade with SEDAT HR Conference. And so happy to have you here, Josephine. We also have Lauricia YD Asari joining us from Kumasi. Our own Michael Kisi watching from Kumasi. Thank you, Michael. You've been one of our favorite participants and one of our consistent participants on SEDAT HR Digest. Thank you so much for joining us Sunday after Sunday. Again, we have Josephine. Is it Bote or Bote? Okay, Josephine, thank you for joining us. Josephine is joining us from Dodo. Wow. Thank you, Josephine, for joining us. Okay, so Osman Yao Beidu from Fomina. Oh, wow. Thank you, Osman, for joining us. We are happy to have all of you here. Once again, that's a SEDAT HR Digest. And today we are having a very interesting topic. And I think we have the right guests or the right speaker or the right facilitator for you today. She is one of our favorite guests on the show. You can never get boring under her tutelage, or when you are listening to her, you will never get boring. She's not that she's not a boring facilitator or trainer or lecturer. You can call it whatever you want to, but this woman is super, and we have hosted her several times on the show. She is a highly trained HR professional with over 16 years of experience in managing the broad spectrum of human resources programs, services, and functions. She has a wide experience in managing various HR assignments for public sector organizations, NGOs, telecoms, financial, national, as well as the shipping companies and multinational companies. She is a facilitator at the HR Certification Center and the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management. Today, we are honored and blessed to have in our midst Madam Yvonne Ama Oredu Adia Pena Akpabli. Please, I don't want to take any name out before she comes to tell me, Patience, this is not me. And so please, wherever you are, let's welcome to our session today, Madam Yvonne Adia Pena Akpabli. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Patience. Sorry, I almost mentioned your boss name. Hi, Patience. Hi, Osman, Josephine, Laurentia, Josephine too, Michael, and all others on other platforms. It's always a joy to come your way via the SEDAT Consult HR Digest platform. I'm equally excited, and I thank the HR SEDAT Consult for this opportunity to also share the little I know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for accepting to be here today. In fact, today's session, you are the best to have on the show for today, because I know we will laugh a lot, we will learn a lot, it's a whole package for today, and we just cannot wait for what you are going to share with us. Okay, so before we start, I have one person who just typed in the name Richard Oforidan. So is it a BM watching us from Dakuma? Thank you very much, Richard, for joining us. We are very happy to have you here. Now, workplace conflict is an inevitable thing that, or conflicts in general, is an inevitable thing that happens in communities, in organizations, in families, wherever you find yourself. As long as you are dealing with human beings, the likelihood of experiencing conflict is very high, or the potential of experiencing conflict is there. For me, it is not about the conflict itself, but how to handle the conflict that matters. And so today we are looking at conflict resolution techniques with Yvonne. And so I'm going to go straight to Yvonne to start our conversation. But we are not taking you out of the whole conversation. You can drop in your questions, drop in If you want to seek any clarification, please put it there. We also want you to contribute to what we are discussing. And so feel free to share your ideas with us. We will read it out and then have the knowledge shared with everybody. Now, Yvonne, I mean, from your 16 years of experience in HR practice, I know this excludes the other papers that you have, the other routes that you've gone to pass. But in your 16 years of experience as an HR expert or HR professional, what do you think are the most common sources of conflict in organizations, in communities, or in among colleagues in departments, wherever we find ourselves?
Thanks. I want to start by saying that conflict, like you said, is inevitable. Once you have two people, there will be disagreement. In Nakan, it said that even the teeth and the tongue fight. Because sometimes people avoid the conflict. That's not a good thing to do. So conflict is bound to happen. In the workspace, one of the key areas I see it coming from is communication, where I think you are saying something and you are saying something differently, and I take offense. And instead of addressing it, we start a banter. So communication. And here we are talking about language. We are talking about the non-verbal, the posture with which you said the thing. She thinks she's the boss. And so she was giving me the instruction as if I'm the boss. Maybe the other person feels he's just sharing that we have to finish this task. But the posture and the choice of words caused the conflict to erupt. And then still on communication, we should understand that timing is also key. The time you say the thing can also bring conflict. And then we have the person you are dealing with, and of course, the medium you use. You may use an email and you will have no issue. You do face-to-face and there are issues. You use text message and there's an issue. You use face-to-face and there's no issue. So with the communication, one of the ways to work on it is the training for people to know how to communicate effectively. Lest I forget, still under communication, we have poor listening, where you hear it in a different way. You know, it's said that we listen to understand, but most of the time we rather listen to respond. And this is because of the baggage we carry. And something happened last Friday, and there was a conflict. So the person just said it's 6 o'clock. Instead of me to wait for the person to finish the sentence, I used a past experience that this 6 o'clock the person is mentioning, the person is saying I'm keeping too long with the report. So I reacted. Thankfully, the other person showed better emotional intelligence by holding herself, and there was no conflict. But imagine if he also retorted, there would have been conflict. But all that the person was saying is that she wanted to say is that it's 6 p.m. and my road, I use the motorway. So if I've not finished, I should just stop it and then continue on Monday. So when you don't listen well, it can also bring conflict in the office. Then there's differences in values, interests, and beliefs, okay, which can also create conflict. There's an issue almost facing in one of the places I support. Now, we have Jehovah Witnesses who go for Asemka. So this person takes 1 hour off a week to go and do her religious responsibility. Then we have Muslims who also take 1 hour on Fridays at 1 p.m. to go and pray. The Christian does this on Sunday, which has nothing to do with work. So what happens to this person? It can bring conflict. Okay. The values and interest part also stems from the different generations and how we want things to be done, different tribes and how things have to be done. If you are dealing with persons from the middle belt upwards, that's Kumasi, Bronga, Hafo, and the northern regions, it doesn't matter your position. If you are a woman, you should be submissive, you should be respectful. That's how they are. So even if you are their boss and you are a woman, and you don't tone this down, you get a lot of conflict. Okay. And then those in the south are like, we are fine, me and you, we did so. Yes. So that is also another point. Another key place that brings conflict to the workplace is resources. I need the car. I'm going to see the minister. I also need the car. I'm going to see the MP. Then maybe admin gives the car to the finance, the one going to the ministry. Then the one going to the MP says, are you saying my work is not important, or I am not important? And the whole fight is about the car. So where the resources are not available or shared equally, and here I don't want to say equalness, I want to talk more of equity, fairness, then there will be a lot of conflict. Sometimes it's about the type of chair. I've had a situation where somebody is asking why person A's chair is different from his. Meanwhile, his chair is even the best one because it's orthopedic, but the other chair looks aesthetically beautiful, so he thinks that's better. And then because I came before her, and then there's conflict over resources. There's also another big one, which is access. And this is where sometimes the PAs and the HRs will make enemies in the workplace. I want to see the CEO. You have to pass through the PA. Because I don't have direct access, I have issues with the PA. You go to the CEO to talk about something. He says, this one is HR. Go back to HR, and there's an issue. So the access to people, access to resources, once again, also can bring conflict. Then we have the relationships. This one also stems a bit from the access to people, but it's also about how myself and Pat would relate. It can bring conflict. This also comes in when you are dealing with team dynamics. Okay, there can also be conflict there. Then also conflict over information. This is also under access. I have the information you don't have. Or why are you the one who has that information? Why are you the one to tell me? It also brings conflict. Then there's the final one I'll talk about before personality clashes is structural. The way things have been structured, and this is where it's important not just to have organograms, it has to be shared. Who sits where? And those who sit on the organogram, what are they supposed to do? What are their limits? Okay, so that it doesn't bring conflict when I jump somebody to go somewhere. It's not about bureaucracy, but it's about having a harmonious working environment. We are dealing with human beings, so there should be some order in place. So this structural conflict sometimes it stems from people not knowing who does what within the organization, and then it brings a lot of conflicts in the teams, and it also comes about with role ambiguity. When I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, or people don't know what you are supposed to do, so you go and you are asking for some data and they don't want to give it to you. You are angry because they are supposed to give it to you, and they too think your role does not require you having that data, and then there are issues. The last source I'll talk about is personality clashes. There are people who are very strong personalities, and permit me to use you, Pat. Patience doesn't get missing at events. She's not invisible. If you are the kind of person who don't understand that there are such personalities, you might think she's too known, she's too loud, and then you have issues. You will know she is there. She will contribute, she will mingle. There are people like that. And so when my personality is the quiet, shadow kind, I'm minding my business, I don't want any wahala, and I am in a team with a patient, will fight. Issues will pop up. As for you, everything must you say it, must you voice out, and then there will be issues. And then there's also the issue of the personality, sanguines, phlegmatics, those ones too, and their own tendencies can bring conflict. Then the big one, introverts and extroverts. So it can also bring conflicts in the workplace. And then still under personality, there's the issue of I came before you, you came before me.
Hey.
I know the boss, you don't know the boss. Why? All those things come up and can bring conflicts in the workplace. Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much, Yvonne. I'm enjoying the session already. So please, those of you who see me at events and you want to fight me, Yvonne has given you the clue. Please stop fighting me in your heart. Right? But I can also be very quiet that you see me and think that, oh, this girl. But that is us.
Yes.
That is us. Thank you, Yvonne. Amazing sources of conflict at the workplace. And she touched on communication. She touched on differences in values, interest, and culture. She touched on resources. And even when we were talking about the resources, um, a scenario just came to mind where the marketing people or commercial people are always receiving the highest of the budget just to
Yes.
create visibility. And HR will go and they'll say HR's bill, HR there, you there. Then they will give
Yes.
even your training budget, they will cut it. Your everything
Yes.
you bring it, and then HR will say, "Hey, why is it that as for me every day my budget is being cut?" And that is something that really happens where there's the highest in terms of the budgets, who gets the highest, who gets the, is it equitable, do we all understand? And I believe that it's something, resources is something that really creates conflict. The HR is moving out, commercial is going out, they'll give the car the vehicle to commercial and leave HR,
Commercial.
and then HR
Yes.
boss. And so it's really something that is real. And then also access to people, she touched on it. We also looked at relationship, and that is understanding team dynamics. We looked at, she touched on structural being a source of conflict in the organization or in our workplace. And then we spoke about personality clashes. And when she was talking about those who believe that those people were there, they have very entitled mentality. We came before you came. And so I saw that Benedict just typed MBA. And Benedict, I also typed the same thing. I also I wrote MBA here. I was going to talk about the MBAs. And for those of you who are not Ghanaians or do not understand the local dialect, MBA is here in the Akan language. We call them Meba Hache. So meaning that I have been here for long. I came before you. And so that is abbreviation we've given them. A very nice and beautiful name. So please, this is not a course, MBA in HR or MBA in marketing or MBA in finance. This is MBA in I have been here for long. Thank you very much, Yvonne. It's getting exciting already. Now, looking at all these conflicts you have mentioned, are there any strategies that are effective for the resolution of these conflicts? And if there are, it will be very happy if you could share with us and why you think these strategies are effective to be deployed to aid in the resolution of the conflicts.
Thanks. In managing conflicts or resolving them, the first thing you have to do, no matter the type of conflict, is to acknowledge that it is there. Typically, people don't see it. Like in HR, most of us pick some of these things easily because of our gift of observation, where you can easily identify there's tension between Yvonne and patients, and you tell the manager to watch and then work on it. The manager will tell you nothing is happening, only to wait, and 3 months down the line, there's a full-blown conflict where they are insulting and using all sorts of languages, and somebody even picks it to throw to the other just because someone ignored it. You have to acknowledge that it is there. Before you acknowledge that particular conflict, you need to also know conflict happens. Okay, it is a human thing. The gift of it too is that we've been equipped to solve them. So we carry on because it happens. It happens everywhere. Okay. I'm yet to read the Bible to get if God too had it with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. But for apart from them, we know there was conflict in heaven between God and Satan had to be brought down. Yes, unfortunately to us. So the first two is acknowledge that it is there. We have different ways of resolving conflicts. The first one is collaboration. Collaboration. This is where you look for a win-win solution between the conflicting parties. It emphasizes cooperation and a joint effort to identify a common ground for these people. So you use brainstorming. First of all, what is the issue? You listen to both sides and try to determine the source, what we call root cause analysis. Sometimes the conflict is of a vehicle. You would think it's the car, which is a resource. Yes, it is, but the root cause may be the mebahache. The fact that you have given it to Yvonne because she came before me, even though she's in HR and she doesn't really need a car like me in commercial. So you need to get the root cause during the brainstorming. Then you find a solution that will help both of them. So, for example, if it is this vehicle situation, what you do is that the one car will take both of them. One is going to meet a minister, the other is going to meet an MP. The minister's time is 8 a.m., the MP's time is 9:30. So the driver drops the one going to see the minister first, then drops the MP, and then later, when the finance person calls, the minister person calls, you go and pick him, and then you come and pick this one and you bring them home. Or if you have enough resources, you book Uber for both of them. They both go and they come back. Everything is quiet. So collaboration, you find a win-win for both of them. So each party goes happy. Then we have the compromise where you make one person more like giving, but it's not just giving in, but you find a middle ground for both of them. It requires one party letting go of something, the other party also letting go of something. This one too, you need to find out the cause of the conflict and what they can let go that can still make them relate together and still continue working. Sometimes it will mean, okay, because both of you are dealing with the same client and this client tips. So that is what is bringing the conflict. So this is what we will do. We will sit here 2 weeks in a month, and then after 2 weeks, we move you to the other desk, and then this person also comes. So in a month, you both get a chance to meet the person. Instead of one person getting all the tips and then there's conflict, now all of you will get it. Then there's peace. That's compromise. So I may not like sitting at the other end, but I have to give up so that there is peace. And both of us are making some concessions. I mean, the parties involved in the conflict make some concessions so that there is peace. The third one is not so good, but sometimes we use it depending on the issue, is avoidance. Avoidance, where you step aside, like you pretend the conflict is not happening. Now, this
As
one
if
does not
nothing
mean
is
you don't.
happening.
Yes, this one does not mean you don't acknowledge it. You acknowledge it, but you don't immediately go into the solution. Okay, and you just wait a bit to see how things will go, and then you come in. Avoidance is very best used when there is heated emotions. Okay, that's not the time you solve it. I am fighting with patients. We are exchanging words. I have even picked my chair to hit her. That's not the time to call us to resolve the conflict. You have to avoid it. So you may separate us and all that, keep quiet as if nothing has happened. And if you are an HR here and you hear some of this information that there was a brawl in the customer service unit and their manager did nothing. Don't quickly go in. Maybe he or she is practicing avoidance to let tempers cool down before he can either use compromise or collaboration or other tools to solve it. Okay. And it is also useful to know that when you are practicing avoidance, it's just for a short period. You don't avoid forever, because that is one negative side of conflict resolution. You leave it for something, because conflict is like, the proverb in Akan, and so tire ponchenia or jewo, when the frog is too full with water, it croaks. Okay, so as the conflict happens and you see you avoid, one day it will erupt like a volcano, and you'll find somebody is very quiet and peaceful, reacting in a certain negative, boisterous way, and you are shocked. You are shocked. Don't be shocked. You avoided it, and they've bottled it down to a point where it can't be bottled again. So, avoidance is a short term conflict resolution method, just to let tempers cool. And sometimes during that short time, both parties realize, Nani Kra, why did I attack my patients? What I thought did she do to me? Is it even worth this thing? Then before you see, the two of them are talking, they've resolved it, and then you come in to make sure it's indeed resolved and you are fine. So the avoidance is just short term. Then we have accommodation. So I've talked about collaboration, compromise, avoidance, and now accommodation. And here you make one party to yield, giving completely. Unlike compromise, where both parties give it concessions, here is only one side. One person is asked to do that, and you do that because of the issues at stake. Sometimes it is such that one party has to give in so that there is peace, and peace prevails. Okay, just that you need to ensure that the party giving in does not feel that because I'm the junior staff, I've been asked to give in. Because I'm a woman, I've been asked to give in. Because I'm not Christian, I've been asked to give in. So whatever the people are giving, the person is giving in, and whoever is giving in, you should ensure that it is not going to be seen as a form of bias that would affect the team at the end of the day. Because whether you like it or not, people will hear in the office that, hey, can you believe that when Patience fought with Yvonne, she was asked to rather apologize to Yvonne? Have you heard it? Even though Yvonne was the wrong person. And then when they hear this, they start disbelieving your system. They don't trust your system anymore. So when issues come, they won't even come and report. And that scenario could be a client comes in and is irate, saying all sorts of things to your staff, and your staff also reacts. And then there's conflict in the customer service space. This is one of the scenarios you would do the accommodation, where you ask the staff to apologize, even though the staff is not wrong. And then you also apologize for peace to prevail. Customer's heart is cool, he goes home. This type of situation, you come back to the staff to explain. The customer is always right. This person breaks us this millions every year. If he's angry and goes, your pay will not come. We would have to sack people, which may include you. So that is why we asked you to apologize for it to go on. We are really sorry how he handled you and all of that. And then you let go. So the whole accommodation, the person accommodating, it should be clear to the person that it is not because you are at a disadvantage. That is why we've asked you to forego something, but it is for the greater good, let me put it that way, that we've asked you to. Then we have competing strategy. And this is where one party pursues their interests. They decide that I don't care what you people think. This is what I want. And it is good for situations where you need quick resolution for work to go on. where you just have to accept one person's view of the whole thing for there to be peace, for there to be harmony. For example, we are doing a surgery on Yvonne. I'm going to cut a certain part, and there is an argument between myself and the junior doctor that is not where we should cut. If we waste time in the next 5 minutes, the patient will even die. So what do? I say, I'm the senior, I'll take responsibility for whatever happens, then cut. If the patient doesn't die, kudos to me. If he dies, I take the accountability for it. Now, competing is also not quite a good strategy, but like I said, it depends on the situation. Okay, it depends on the situation. There's a video I watched in preparing for this session. A tanker filled with fuel was on fire from the tail, and there were arguments. And we told you that don't pass this road, the bumping can lead to this. They were arguing and arguing. And so one person said, what should we do now? The other person said, we should just report the matter, call fire service and go. The other person said, no, we should save the truck. As for the tank part, we can leave, but I think we should save the truck. That also led to argument. As they were arguing, the fire too is burning. So he quickly said, you know what, I'll try and save the truck. If I die in the process, tell my wife I love him, tell my children I love them. And then went into the truck, was able to move the truck away. The person arguing with him joined, the other person joined, and they went. And then later the fire service people came to solve it. So that is competing. He decided to put your matter aside. Mine is the best for now. And they acted on it. And of course, if it didn't work, he would have taken accountability for it. So these are the 5 ways we can solve conflict. But apart from these 5, it starts with acknowledging there is conflict. In Ghana, we are known to be very peaceful people. We don't like conflict. And so when conflict happens, we find ourselves trying to make people accept peace even when there is no peace. You can't. And to be good at resolving these conflicts, apart from the tools I've mentioned, you need to identify the type of conflict at stake. What are they disagreeing about? What is it? What are they disagreeing about? Is it resources? What kind of resources? Is it access? What kind of? Is it communication? If it's communication, is it the listening, the nonverbal, the verbal, the timing, the who? You need to identify. Then also listen actively. If you don't listen to both parties actively, but you are listening to respond, you will not get things well. And in the listening, try to be objective. You may like Yvonne better than Pat. And so even though Yvonne is the one who caused the conflict, you are biased towards me. So in listening, that is what you will hear. So please listen objectively. If you think you can't be objective, don't be the one solving it. Get another person to do the solving. Listen to both parties. Sometimes after listening to both parties, you have to move out and come back. Because when you listen and you want to resolve immediately, you may get it skewed. So after listening, jotting down your points, you take, I normally say that there is good thoughts in the pillow. So I'll let a day pass, look at my notes again before I call you to look at the issue. Then, depending on the tool you use, what you want is a common ground where both people would now agree that there is conflict. I caused it by doing this, you caused it by doing that. And then you use these same people to get your solution. They will bring different solutions. You make them pick the best one and you make them implement it. After 14 days, and I use 14 days because I think by then things should have worked. You call them back to find out how things are going, to be sure that the conflict does not come up again. Another thing we should take note of is contextualization. I am a very troublesome person. Everybody knows in the office Yvonne is troublesome. So, and every conflict that happens, Yvonne is inside. She caused it. But this particular one, it's not me. But if you don't contextualize the issues, you'll be like, Yvonne, no, she has done it again. And your listening will be subjective and biased. Your solutions will be that way. And I'll feel unfairly treated this time because honestly, I didn't cause it. So contextualize each one. And this is very important when you have one particular person always in the middle of a conflict in a team. Every company has these people. My observation so far, I've picked. Almost every company I've worked with, directly or indirectly, there is that one person controversial. Every conflict, he is part of it some way. If you don't take care, you would think that it means that he's at the center of everyone. So contextualize it. What happened? What caused it? What did you do? And ask the right questions. Don't ask questions that will bring yes or no. Ask questions that will bring sentences for people to answer. So you get more clarification to solve your conflict situations that happen. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Yvonne. A lot of nuggets shared with us. So in looking at the strategies that we can deploy, Yvonne touched on the fact that you first of all need to acknowledge that there is conflict. That is the very first thing. And then she spoke about the first strategy she mentioned as collaboration. She spoke about compromising. She spoke about avoidance. She spoke about accommodation and competing. And one of the things that or two things that she mentioned that we should take note of is the fact that you need to know what has triggered the conflict. What are they actually fighting over or having the misunderstanding over? It serves as the basis for you to know which of the strategies to even deploy. And so it's very important for you to understand what triggered it and then also contextualizing it. And when Yvonne said that, there are people that in every organization that we term these are trouble causers. It just brought to mind when you go for funeral here in Ghana. For those of you who are not in Ghana, you realize that at every funeral ground there's a drunkard who is dancing. Every funeral ground, you watch it. You will get somebody who would display for you at every
Yeah.
funeral. So just when she mentioned that, my attention, I was like, oh, okay. Just like the way we have these people at every funeral, we also have them. And these are real things that happens in organization. Now we'll be taking a very short break, and when we are back, we will talk about how cultural differences influences our conflict resolution. When we are resolving conflict, how our cultural differences influence this. But there's a question in the chat, the comments about one of the strategies, and I would want us to handle it before we go for the break. And this is coming from Osman. Osman says that kudos for the comprehensive exposition into the causes of conflict. Please, did I hear you right saying avoiding conflict isn't good? Is it is it the case? If it is the case, please throw more light on it. And I remember before Yvonne comes, I remember Yvonne mentioned that it depends on the situation. So let me leave Yvonne to respond to you. And we would, once she's done, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to look at how our cultural differences influences our conflict resolution strategies.
Okay. So the avoiding here, as an individual, sometimes we avoid conflict, and which is good, but it also has disadvantages. Avoiding conflict would make people not ask certain questions or do certain things just because they want peace. In the office space, sometimes it can even cost you your promotion because it will be seen that you don't fight for things. Okay. Now, the avoiding I spoke about here is when there is a conflict, don't avoid it. If you are the manager or the person to resolve it, some will just pretend it's not there and avoid it and let it be. That one is not good. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. You must resolve it. Yes, but as a person, you can decide to avoid conflict. So you become a peacemaker in your workplace. Being a peacemaker is what we want. But we don't want a situation where, because you don't want to ruffle feathers, even things you should speak up to benefit you, you keep quiet. That's not good. Okay. So you are a peacemaker, yes, but that doesn't mean people can trample upon you. Yeah, it doesn't.
All right.
So
Thank you very
that's
much,
all.
Yvonne. Thank you, Yvonne. Boateng Enoch says, Madam Yvonne never disappoints in her delivery, one of the best, and that is
Thank you.
absolutely. In fact,
Thank you.
she's one of our favorite guests here, not because she's here. She knows I've been telling her she's one of my favorites. So she's
Thank you.
aware. All right, so we'll be going for a quick break, and when we come back, like I mentioned, we'll be looking at how our cultural differences influence the strategies we deploy in resolving conflict. Okay, I guess all right, welcome back from the break. This is SEDAT HR Digest, and we are looking at conflict resolution techniques with Madam Yvonne Redo Akpabli, and we've had an amazing time with her so far. We've looked at some of the common sources of conflict in the workplace. We've also looked at some of the strategies to deploy when it comes to conflict. And before we went for break, we said we're going to look at the how culture influences our style or influences our conflict resolution strategies. Our network is not helping today, and so we will be waiting for Madame Yvonne's network to get stable, and we will bring her online to handle. And I know we have a few questions in the chat. We will read it out for Madame
Am I
Yvonne.
offline?
Yeah, you went offline, but you are back. And then
Oh,
because I'm a
okay.
Christian, please permit me to say, praise the Lord. Madame Yvonne is back.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so there are a few questions. There are a few questions in the chat box which we want to look at. Okay, so let me read this this commendation. This coming from Michael, and Michael says that Madam Yvonne is a top class professional. We salute your honorable self, Madam Yvonne. Yes, we salute you, Yvonne. Great, great. I mean, there are a lot of things we have to discuss. Just 2 questions, and we have a whole handout. This should be like a 3-day training for us with Yvonne. I know we will love it. All right, so there's a question in the chat box. This is coming from Benedict. Benedict says that where line managers have to be involved in the conflict resolution, but the line manager does not seem to help the whole situation and rather side with his team members against the other party. And this other party is from a different department. How does the HR get the line manager to understand that he needs to be circumspect?
You know, I'm sure by now those who follow me will say this woman is drumming this thing too much. Train managers. Line managers should be trained. Oh. They train them in effective team management, emotional intelligence, professionalism, how to have difficult conversations, conflict management. You know, all these soft things, most of these managers don't have it. They are good with their work. He came in as an accounts officer, became supervisor, became manager, now CFO. When it comes to accounting, solid. When it comes to people management, he is using what he has learned from his previous bosses and other bosses to manage these people, and they end up damaging them. As a manager, if you are trained, you will know that even if your people are right, you are a management position. You have to be in the middle. In such a situation, I would recommend that HR call the manager aside, give him a fast-track training in conflict resolution and what he should do so that this issue doesn't come up again. Some of them behave like parents to their teams. So even though their team is wrong, they still want to show that I'm here for you. There are times you have to let your child know that, Kweku, you did wrong. Accept and apologize. Yes. So I would say that you can solve it only with training, letting them know how to get it done so they do it well. Yes, sometimes after training, some of them will still display these tendencies, but you've done your bit. Yeah, you've done your bit.
Right. Letting them know how to go about it and how to handle it is very important. And so, Benedict, I hope this helps. Let's train our managers on how to resolve conflict, and it would really help us in how we manage our people. Not only conflict, but Yvonne mentioned a number of soft skills when she was introducing her response to this question. And so let's do well to provide them with the support so they can also help us. Again, we would take this last question and then we'll end the episode for today. I wish we had more time, but all too soon. Our 1 hour is up. And so we would close the session for today by asking Yvonne how our cultural differences influences our conflict resolution strategy. Yvonne.
Great. And before I come to that question, Bernadette, there's the SEDAT HR Consult Digest. It's on Sundays, 4 to 5. It is free. Push the advert to your managers. Push it to them. Whether they join or not, on Monday, just put snippets of what you learned today on their WhatsApp page. I'm sure you have a page for managers. Put it there for them. As you keep doing it, their interest, they will realize that actually we have to be joining this free session and they will be learning. Yes, so your work becomes a bit more easy for you. Now, with the cultural dimension, it's very, very important. When we read international business as part of our MBA, they will tell you that there are low context and high context cultures. Low context cultures like US, Germany, Europe, some of the European countries, they prefer direct, explicit communication, come straight out. But high context cultures like the Chinese, Japanese, Ghana, Africa, we don't like going straight to the point. Even when somebody has died and we want to say it, we would ask you questions. How do you intend to do this, do that? And then we say he has poured the salt on the ground. All those things. We are not direct. So if you know, now you know that if your company is in Ghana and you are dealing with Ghanaians, you can't go straight. And we also rely a lot on nonverbal cues. So your body language, your facial expressions may all increase the conflict or make it difficult to be resolved. So these two you must understand. What this means is that depending on who you are dealing with, and I'm assuming we are dealing with Ghanaians in general, you have to be a bit diplomatic and package the information in a very nice way. I had a boss who was French. I mean French. Uh-huh. And he just goes straight to the point. In the beginning, we found him to be insensitive and wicked. It took time for us to realize that that is his upbringing. That's how he is. He goes straight to the point. But for us, we would mingle and mingle and mingle before we come there. So that also affects how we resolve these issues when they come up. Another issue too is the individualism versus collectivism. The West, most of the Western countries are individualistic in nature. So they look at what is for me, personal, what they will get through it, and they like to debate and be assertive to get what they are looking for, irrespective of who will be injured in the process. But for collectivist cultures like Ghanaians and Africans, we prioritize harmony. We look more at the how will this affect other people? How will I relate with them after voicing out? Because of that, there is a way I will go about even the conflict and how to resolve it. So you will realize that we like a lot of reconciliation. We like to um, get peace going and make sure it affects a lot more people than the other people. And with because of this, we focus on a fair outcome. So in Ghana, in the office places, we use more of the collaboration, the compromise, and the what's the other one? Oh, I've forgotten the third one. But in the West, competition is key. They use that a lot because they are looking for what is in it for me. The other aspect of the culture dimension is the power distance. Where there is high power distance, like in our setting, I mean, talking about hierarchy, Mr. This, Madam That, you would also realize juniors don't like to challenge authority, and when there's conflict, they will either avoid it or just compromise on their own, just because it's from there. Cultures who are lower power distance, like the Swedish, the Danish, and even Americans, a few of them, but mostly this part who believe in egalitarian kind of setting, they would resolve it through discussions and then have a participatory approach. Okay, so in Ghana, you will realize when we have proverbs that also support this power distance issue. Penini akwala kwa odi nkunim kra ne widiem. If a child fights with an adult, even if the child wins the fight, he will feel pain in his body. And when a child and an adult speaks, is the adult who is listened to. So these cultural things underline that issue that if you are a junior staff and you are in conflict with a senior staff, before the resolution starts, you know you have lost because you are junior. And it stems from the power distance issues. And here, this is where HRs, we use policy where companies use open dialogue, issues of fairness and accountability to get it done. Yes, you are senior, but you didn't do well. It's an office space, you don't use that language. And for that, you'll be suspended for 2 weeks. Then it sends a good message to everybody that, Charlie, this one, dear, if they sanction him, then me down here, I have to be careful. Okay, the power distance in Ghana is one of the key things that affect conflict resolution, where the junior staff is not treated fairly. Then we have the emotional expression. We have cultures that are affective cultures. They think of others. Like in Ghana, Obia you BBB. You meet somebody the first time, you say, "It's my friend." If it's from your village, especially those of us whose villages are remote, we have to describe before you get to know with the biggest town. Whenever we meet somebody from the village, we say it's our relative, even though there's no connection to that person. In such cultures, we open, we bear our emotions out easily. We can cry knowing somebody will hold us and all of that. But there are also neutral cultures. They control their emotions. Yes, they put it in check. So if you are from Ghana, of course, you do the affect, you are in an affective cultural setting. You should allow the staff to vent. That thing we do where it's okay, don't, and then we'll be rubbing the person's back. It is not Ghanaian. That's why after some time the person will explode. Allow the person to speak, allow the person to talk, allow the person to vent. Hey, shh, don't you know he's your boss? Allow him. You will hear a lot of things that will even help you to resolve the conflict later. This doesn't mean that you, the person angry, you shouldn't use emotional intelligence. There's a lot of tentacles that come in here, but you should be allowed to open up. Okay, so that's why when we are resolving conflicts and people are crying and all, we wait for them to finish crying. You give them tissue to clean their faces, and then we continue. The last one on these cultural differences I'll talk about is time orientation. People in the West believe that 24 hours is not enough. So they like to do things quick. They are very punctual. They don't waste time in explaining matters. They go straight to the point. It comes back to their the first one I talked about, the the tendency to be direct or indirect when it comes to communication. So they will just say it quickly and go. And so it's easy for them to fall into conflict and easy for them to also resolve it quickly. We are from what is called the polychronic cultures, where because we value relationship, because we value the aftermath, we have a way of speaking. It comes back to the issue I talked about. We beat around the bush before to the issue. Even the conflict, you notice managers will be talking about the time they were also in conflict and how they resolved it, how they had to let go before they come to the issue, because we think we have time. Okay, so our association with time also affects how we resolve conflict. But the office space, we have only 8 hours a day. So we have to adopt the monochronic culture tendency. The issue has happened. Get to the root cause as fast as possible. Get the solution as fast as possible. Implement the solution as fast as possible and get the work going. I'm sure Pat is going to silence the chicken. The chicken is telling us it's time. Don't worry, we are learning. Yes, don't worry, we are learning. So all these coming, and then if I'm focusing on Ghana, those who are maternalistic, they are soft, sweet, emotional, and caring. Okay, those who are paternalistic are usually not. So if you know the person is Akan, for example, is maternal. If the person is Volta North, is paternal. It will help you to know how these people get the conflict and how they resolve it. And then also, if you also know, even though Ghana, we say we are polychronic when it comes to time, we think we have enough time and we are caring about relationships, so we can waste time with issues by beating around the bush. If you deal with a typical Northerner, and I want to be very specific with a Dagomba man, they go straight to the point. That's how they are. Pam, 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 pam. They deal with it, hands off, and they go. So understanding Ghanaian cultures also will help you to know how people get into conflict and how to resolve the conflict. Then, even though we are talking cultures, I'll talk gender as well. Men don't fear conflict. And once the conflict is resolved, typical of men, they move on. Women are afraid of conflict, but when it happens, we carry it like a treasure for heaven's accommodation. And so 10 years down the line, the woman still has it in her heart. And because of that, it becomes a foundation on how she would treat other people. So when there's a conflict and it involves women, getting the root cause is very, very important, because it may not even be you. It's another patient's 10 years ago who did something similar, and she thinks that's what you are doing. And so she has to give it to you before you even go that way, because we don't let go easily. Because of these cultural dimensions, gender dimensions I've mentioned, when it comes to the workplace, professionalism is the only tool we need to use, where you have laid down code of ethics to drive behavior through your company's values. Whether you are a man or woman, whether you are from North or South, West or Africa, this is how we dress. This is how we talk. This is how we relate. This is how we work. And everybody abides by it. When there's a conflict and we have to resolve, we use the same ethics and agreed laid down procedures to resolve it. And then everybody is at peace. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. Very, very insightful. Very, very insightful. And we've really learned a lot. And so, in talking about how cultural influences conflict resolution, Yvonne touched on the fact that it could be direct or indirect, where you are going straight to the point, or you want to go and you want to pass by the roundabout and come in before you come and say what you want to say. She touched on emotional expression. She touched on whether the individual believes in the individualism culture or a collectivism culture. She touched on high and low power stances. She touched on time orientation. And these are some of the cultures or cultural dynamics or dimensions that influences our strategy deployment when it comes to resolving conflicts. So in the chat box, we have a question from Patience. But before I read what Patience is asking, Adam says that Yvonne never disappoints. HR certification is proud of you, or is proud. Thank you very much, Adam. I guess Benedict was laughing at the Akoko bit of the comment. And then Patience comes in to say very insightful, and I agree with you, Patience. Now, Patience is asking in terms of so she's asking if you can throw light on religious dimensions, religious dimensions. So
Dimension.
yeah, so Yvonne, briefly do that, and then we will end our session. I know we are almost about 8 minutes
Yes,
past time,
yes. I'll
but
quickly
this is
go
very
through.
important. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, in Christianity, we've been asked by Jesus in Matthew 5:39 to turn the other cheek. Christianity focuses on forgiveness. So even when I am hurt, even when you've done something and we need to work on a middle solution. I'm being asked to forgive. And then we have the Beatitudes that it says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God, which also encourages mediation. And in Christianity, the mediation focus more on repentance and forgiveness, not punishment. Repentance and forgiveness. Islam is also almost like that, where if you read portions of the Quran, I don't remember much. I remember my hadith. As for hadith, I read it a lot. It prioritizes peaceful settlements. Is it Salih or Salah? SULH. And so it also talks about arbitration, getting elders to mediate. So yes, there is conflict. Don't let conflict come, because it talks about peace, Yes, but when it comes, get elders to mediate for you. With Islam, the focus is on reconciliation and punishing to make the person not do it. Unlike Christianity, where it focuses on forgiveness and reconciliation. So if you use the Christian approach in the office, I will forgive the person, but have I forgotten? Am I letting go? If you punish too, you put fear in others not to do it, and sometimes they will bottle it down. So you need to have a mix of it. And then with the Judaism, they are in between. Yes, they are looking for peace, but when it happens, they would sometimes compromise, but they focus on restitution. Whatever I have lost because of this conflict, give it back to me. They still look at the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, like Islam. So it depends on the person's orientation. And that is why in the office space, professionalism is key, where you look at the laws of your country. What does it say about how to handle conflicts? In Ghana, when you look at the arbitration regulations and all, it looks at reconciliation, where people come to a middle ground, agree to settle and let go. And you use that in your policies to ensure that there is peace in the office. Yes. So knowing where the person comes from can help. If the person is a Christian, you can easily know that they can, when you do compromise, they can easily give in and then forgive and go. But will they forget? That is where I have the problem. Yes. And if it's a Muslim, he can also agree with the arbitration and let go, but he may be expecting that that person faces the rod for what they've done to them. If it is not coming, you are in trouble. Same with the Judaism. Those who do the Judaism thing. It's, I think, the Hinduism and Buddhism who look at a balance. Let it go. Life is full of problems already. Don't add this one to it. And let it go. No bad energy. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Yvonne. And Happy is saying great, great, great. And I agree with Happy. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. And I wish we had a lot of time to talk about this. All we have discussed is just 3 questions. 3. So you can imagine if we had a lot of time, what we would be enjoying from Yvonne, but we need to end the episode for today. We promise we'll be bringing Madame Yvonne back to the show. We would have a discussion with her to know her itinerary and her schedule, and then we can schedule her for another time, maybe to continue this or to look at a different topic, but we'll definitely make sure that we bring her back. Thank you so much. On this note, we want to remind you that the SEDAT HR Conference Kumasi Edition is happening on the 30th of October at the Golden Beam Hotel at Kumasi. You can't afford to miss it. It is going for 620 for in person, and then 520 for virtual participation. And the theme for the conference is HR for sustainable growth, HR for sustainable growth, aligning strategy with business strategy. And this is being conveyed by the CEO of SEDAT Limited, Madam Patricia Abena Kisi. Emphasis on Abena. It is very important to us. She is the host for this conference, and we are blessed to have our keynote speaker being Mr. Nuhu Salifu, the Vice President, West Africa Sanvic. And then we are also honored to have speaking at the conference Mr. Shedrack Bam. He is the Director, Human Resources, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, Ghana. We also have our very own Senior Ejapen. He is a labor consultant and country director, WR, or is it WBH or WR? Okay, so we share the flyer with you so you can have a look at it. And then we have our very own Madame Emilia also on the bill, and you can't afford to miss the presentation of Madame Emilia. It's going to be something else. She is a certified HR consultant, a lecturer, and head of human resources and admin at KCMI. This is happening on 30th of October 2025 at the Golden Beam Hotel in Kumasi. And so if you live in and around Kumasi, the best place to be on the 30th of October is at this conference. You can call us on 0244 629245, 0244 629245, or 0591405555 for more information. We will be dropping the registration link for you to start registering and start making your payment. Again, on the 9th of September, we have good news coming your way. SEDAT HR Digest, SEDAT Consult is organizing a one-day online workshop tailored for HR managers, IT managers, and business leaders who aim to leverage on technology for efficient HR operations. And so if you are looking forward to leverage on technology, transforming your HR operations with HRIS or HRMs, moving from data to decision making, then this is for you. It is an opportunity to master the use of HR system for efficient and effective compensation management, benefits tracking, and performance optimization. And my very own brother and friend is going to be the facilitator. Paul Opoku and Koma will be there. He is a freelance expert, HRI and HRM systems. And so Paul will be there to help us. Your takeaway from this online workshop will be your ability to automate routine tasks using HRIS or HRMs, and then your ability to generate real-time report for strategic decisions. And also you would learn how to select and implement the right HRIS or HR tool for your organization. And so please don't hesitate to call us on 0540575564 to register and participate for this training. We are all going to be there, and so join us. Let's learn together. Thank you so much for coming. Next week we are coming away with another interesting and exciting topic, and you don't want to take yourself out of next week's episode. Have a blessed evening and have a super week ahead. Remember, it is all about you. You are not in competition with anybody, but you are in competition with yourself. Learn, unlearn, and relearn is the best tool for growth. Enjoy your evening. We will see you next week, Sunday, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on SEDAT HR Digest. Thank you.